A strange and shocking twist in the mysterious disappearance of young mom Corey Anderson. Her husband, Ken Anderson, just arrested on charges of abducting, raping, and imprisoning a woman he married after Corey vanished.
Those are 3 serious crimes. If you're not shocked by that, you're pretty cold.
And now news of his arrest has given police and Corey's family hope that it could be the break in the case they've been waiting for.
What was your first thought?
My heart raced 1,000,000 miles an hour out of my chest.
I just hope that it leads to maybe getting answers for Corey.
That's my prayer.
If there are leads developed out of this, we will follow them.
It's the latest chapter in a tale of marriage, deception, bigamy, and ultimate tragedy revolving around Corey, a much-loved 36-year-old librarian in the small upstate New York town of Jamestown.
She was an awesome mother to her children. She was a great daughter, a sister. She was a wonderful person.
And everyone who knew her was devastated when she suddenly vanished without a trace 8 years ago.
My world stopped, but everybody else's keeps going. And that's hard.
I don't care how old, they're always your babies.
I miss her laugh. And I miss not talking to her because we were more than just sisters. She was my best friend.
It was particularly hard on Corey's children, who say they lost the best mom in the world.
She was so loving and caring and put herself last in everything.
I try and look up to how she was to kind of guide my life in a way.
But there was one thing about Corey her family didn't like, and that was her other half. Ken Anderson, whom Corey met online after her divorce from her first husband, the father of her 2 daughters.
From the very beginning, I had an awful feeling about that man.
We never got along. All the memories I have of him, he's always been very controlling and manipulative, very his way.
The way he presented himself, I could tell he wasn't true. He wasn't right.
But Corey had fallen in love with Ken at first sight, and they were married within months.
He mesmerized her.
Corey and Ken would have a son, Zachary, now 14, and for a while they seemed happy.
But then it started falling apart.
The longer that they saw each other, the harder it got, because I feel like that's when she started realizing who he truly was.
And their marriage would collapse when Corey made a shocking discovery while looking through some of Ken's papers. He wasn't really her husband. He was a bigamist who never divorced his previous wife, his 4th.
And everything started coming out.
A horrified Corey managed to track down Ken's first wife, Stephanie Anderson, who had married him when she was just 16 and pregnant with the first of 4 children they had together.
To me, with Ken, there's just an evil about him. You look at him and you see evil.
Stephanie told Corey horror stories about her 12-year marriage to Ken, whom she claims would padlock the doors when he went to work in the mornings and leave her captive in her own home.
There was no way to get outside until he came home from work.
She also alleges Ken often beat her and once threatened to kill her.
He had thrown me on the bed and put the gun up to my head. And he said, "I'm telling you, if you don't shut up, I am going to shoot you." And I said, "Do it, do it." I said, "I'm so tired of this, just do it." And he threw the gun to the side of the bed, picked up a pillow, put it over my face.
Stephanie says she became so afraid of Ken that she took the children and finally left him to save her own life.
I have said more than once that if I didn't leave, I'd be dead. I firmly believe that.
And she says she advised Corey to leave Ken too, for their own safety.
The only thing I could tell her is, "You've got something. Nail him." Because I figured for sure he'd go to jail for bigamy.
Ken escaped that fate, but learning the terrible truth about his apparent dark side may have been too much for Corey, who had reportedly told her family he had also abused her.
And she called and she said, "Get me out of here."
Their marriage wasn't even really valid at that point, and Corey was pretty upset about that, so she left.
Everyone's been through a nasty breakup, but the one between Ken and Corey Anderson went nuclear.
In Corey's mind, the relationship was over. She was already moving on. She had recently met another man.
And they were talking about getting married.
But Huffington Post crime reporter David Lohr, who's covered the case from the beginning, says Ken wouldn't let Corey go so easily.
It would appear that, You know, in Ken's mind, he wasn't finished with Corey yet. He wanted to try to continue to be with her.
He was begging, you know, please talk to me, I love you. Same song and dance.
Next, Corey's life turns into a dark and scary nightmare before she mysteriously goes missing.
He knew every place she was, when and where.